Hey guys, I am the Retro Goat, and today we are going to take a look at NECA's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Ultimate REX-1 figure. Now I am super excited to take a look at this guy because he is one of my favorite one-off characters from the show because he looks cool and I love anything and everything having to do with robots. So let's take a look at the packaging. As with all TMNT Ultimate figures, the packaging is meant to mimic the classic VHS style sleeves from way back in the day. And as usual, it looks great. We have awesome artwork here of REX-1 engaging with the Turtles, poor Donnie, and it is titled From the Files of Pizza Squad. On the side here we have the NECA logo meant to look like the classic Family Home Entertainment logo from way back in the day. We have the TMNT logo, the title, and we have volume number 9, which is of course again meant to mimic the VHS style packaging, but is also a reference to REX-1 being the 9th figure in the TMNT Ultimate line. On the other side here, we have the same stuff. On the bottom of the box, we have the credits, legal copy, and also the accessories that are included with the figure and what they are called, which is fantastic. I love that. On the back of the box here, we have more artwork of REX-1 apparently breaking out a green dude from a jail cell. I have no idea who this guy is. I don't remember him from the original show at all. If you happen to know who this guy is, leave a comment down below. I would love to know who this is, and perhaps it's a tease to a figure that is coming out at some point. Not sure. We have figure photography of REX-1 on the back of the box here. We've got a shot of some of the things that Rex can do here. Another shot of Rex in a super awesome pose. And then a shot of Rex here mingling with Donnie in his lab, it looks like. There's the portal. And then we have a whole bunch of copy here that essentially references all of the events of the first episode that Rex appears in. So let's go ahead and get back to the front of the box here and pop open the cover. So we are greeted on the inside of the cover with more fantastic figure art of REX-1 here. And then, of course, an incredibly beautiful window box featuring REX-1 and all of the accessories that he comes with. So let's go ahead and get this guy out of the box and take a look at the figure. So we have here REX-1, which is short for Robotic Enforcement Experiment. And bringing over the tape measure, he's coming in at just over 8 3/4 inches tall, almost 9 inches tall. He is a big boy. So for build quality on REX-1 here, he is a chunky boy. There's a lot of great weight here, a lot of heft, and he feels excellent in hand. Sculpting on this guy also looks absolutely incredible for a deep cut character here like REX-1, who appeared in only 2 episodes of the entire 1987 run of TMNT. They absolutely brought him to life. He's big, he's chunky, he's such a big figure. It's one of the biggest figures in the entire NECA toon line for TMNT, and he just looks absolutely stunning. I don't think there's a lot they could have really done to improve on the design, and I mean, how can you? REX-1 is essentially a spoof on RoboCop, but he turned out absolutely incredible, and I love everything about this figure thus far. Now, there are a couple of minor nitpicks that I want to address. If you can see here on his shin guard / knee guard here, he's got a bit of an indentation right here at the side of the knee, and virtually every single REX-1 figure I saw on the shelf had this problem, and I'm not sure why, but I looked at every single one I came across and they all looked like this. In fact, most of them seem to be worse off than the one that I got here in hand. I have a secondary Rex in box that looks far worse than what's going on with this, but I'm not sure what happened there, but it seems to be a bit of an issue across multiple figures. And then looking here on the back, if you look at the back of his right elbow, you can see again right here, there's this little indentation on the hard line of the sculpt, almost like it was punctured. It's such an odd little thing. And he also has the same thing going on the back of the left elbow, although it's not nearly as noticeable. And then one other thing I want to address is how he was packaged. So, as with most figures, they are held in their blister with plastic ties, and unfortunately for Rex, some of the plastic ties were tight enough to do a little bit of damage. So if you look here on the side, it might be hard to see in camera, I can't really tell, but there's a bit of a line here on the paint from the plastic tie that went around his torso, and just a little bit of rub here from that. It's not too terrible, but it is there, and it did happen. Something to just be aware of. And then probably worse than that were the tie downs that went across his forearms that were actually pulling him down so tightly they left indentations on either side of both of his forearms, and you can really see kind of the damage it did right here. So there's this ever so slight kind of indentation right here, and that's the only thing to really see at this point. What's kind of interesting is that when I initially took him out, it looked absolutely terrible. I was kind of horrified about how bad it looked, and so I kind of let him sit for a little bit, and when I came back to him, most of the hard lines here on the sculpt on his forearms seem to go back to their original shape, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how that happened. This is like the only indentation that appears to be left from the damage that those plastic tie downs did. I'm not sure how they kind of went back to their basic shape, but apparently they did. Either way, minor nitpicks, but definitely some potential QC issues to be aware of. Okay, so let's talk paint. REX-1 has been completely painted from head to toe, and he looks great. We have the royal blue here on the police hat. We also have it on the lower torso and the legs. Coming back up, we have the mustard gold color for the police emblem on the hat and the chest. For his visor, we've got white paint along with his name badge, the button panel right here on his chest, the hands, and the belt. Coming back up to the top, we have this metal gray color for most of his head and his face, and then also for all the mechanical detailing on him. So the metal portions coming out here on his shoulders, the mechanical detail on his arms here, and on this side as well, and also down on the wrists. And then we have this really nice powdered blue color for the torso and arms, of course meant to mimic a police shirt. And then coming back down here on the lower torso, we have this lighter shade of gray for the two hip skirts here, this upper portion of detail on the thighs, and then of course for his massive shin and knee guards here on the legs. Coming back up, we have black for the eyes, this section of the lower torso, and the feet. Now with the feet, I'm actually not 100% sure if these have been painted or not. They could possibly be just molded black plastic. It's really hard to tell, but given that this is a NECA figure, I would probably bet that the feet are painted, because typically with all of their figures, they paint every last square inch. So that would be my guess. And then turning him around here on the back, we'll see a completely different shade of colors. Starting with the back of the hat here, where we've got black for the back of the hat. We've got a really dark gray for the back of his head, which is kind of looks like a square cut for a hairline, which is what my guess would be is what that's supposed to represent. Then for his shirt, we have this really nice sky blue color for his back and the back of his arms. And then we have black shading for the legs, a little bit of the torso here, and the gluteus maximus. And then also the belt here is a, instead of white, is a shade of gray. All of this, of course, intended to mimic the look of a cel-shaded character, and it pulls it off really well. And of course, last but not least, we have the nice detailed line art all across Rex's body here. Again, to give it that look of a cel-shaded character. Oh, and then of course, I almost forgot, these panels in front here both pop open to reveal mechanical detail, also with everything being painted. So the back panels are all painted a light gray with all the various buttons, knobs, and gadgets painted reds, blues, and dark gray. So overall, he looks great. I do have a few nitpicks with my copy of the figure though. So if you can see here on my copy, there's some black paint, like a line of black paint here on his right thigh that you can kind of see. And then also over here on the back, you've got a little bit of paint slop with the more sky blue color here on the powder blue, and then just sort of various spots of paint on some of the gray, like right here, if you can see, get my finger out of the way, right there. But also, he's got a few nicks, like here on the face, like here, and sort of right here, right on the jawline. It's kind of difficult to see here, probably in camera, but extremely minor things, so nothing to seriously worry about. But definitely overall, the paint looks great. Okay, next up is articulation. So REX-1 is pretty well articulated, however, right out of the box was kind of a hot mess. Virtually every single joint on his body was completely stuck. So the shoulders, the elbows, the knees, the feet, and his torso were all frozen solid. Yeah, I couldn't move anything. So I had to take the better part of half an hour and get the blow dryer on him to heat up some of those joints so I could get them a little bit more loosened up and eventually get him completely mobile, which unfortunately is pretty typical for most NECA figures. Right out of the package, joints stuck, so you have to be really careful not to just snap them right out of the box. You have to be gentle in getting all those joints loosened up, and REX-1 was unfortunately no exception to that. But he should be completely good to go now, so let's go ahead and take a look at his articulation. So with the head, it's pretty limited overall in motion. He's got a little bit of down, a little bit of up, and he can do a little bit from side to side here. And that's about it. There's not much in the way of head articulation because he's got a really big head here. That seems to be on a ball peg, but it's just super, super limited. Probably due to his really chunky neck. It's huge, so he just does not have the best of head articulation. He does have a little bit of mouth articulation where you can move the faceplate down to reveal his mouth, which is something he can do in the show, so I'm glad that is an option there. To be able to move the faceplate up and down like that, that's pretty cool. And then coming down here to the shoulders, which is where I had the biggest issue as far as the joints being stuck, and I still kind of have a little bit of issue with them. They can go up about 90 degrees on either side, which is not too bad. Then getting them down for me is a bit of a problem. I'm probably going to have to find some grease compound to put in his shoulder joints just to get them to move a little bit smoother than what I'm getting currently. So just something to take note of. Then of course, he can do a full 360 with the arms, front and back. Same with the other side. And then we do have a cut here on the bicep, which lets you do a swivel all the way around if you are so inclined to do so. Same for the other side as well. These were also joints that kind of gave me a little bit of an issue initially, but they're definitely doing much better than they were before. We then have single joints here on the elbows, which have a very, very tight, clunky bend here, and that's about as far as he can go on the elbow. Again, he's got this really chunky bicep and forearm going on here, so he's got fairly limited motion as far as the elbow joint goes, but it does what it needs to do. Same over here on this side. You get about that much, and that's pretty much it. He does have torso articulation, where you can turn him a full 360 if you wish, back and forth, so that'll give you some cool posing. And then his upper torso does appear to be on a ball peg, which gives you a little rotation in the torso where you can get sort of a bit of an ab crunch there, mostly some side to side. So it's not bad. It could be a little better perhaps, but again, he's big, he's chunky, so his articulation can be a little limited at times. And then coming down here to the legs, we can get up about 90 degrees on the legs, get a good solid kick there. It's not too bad. We can also get it back about that far as the thigh goes. So, like, perhaps about that far. So the back is not so great as far as the leg goes, but again, he is big, chunky, and that just sort of is the name of the game with this guy. And then coming down to the knees here, the knees get about a 90-degree bend on both legs. So you can kind of get not really the greatest run. I think this is that's probably about the best run you're gonna get on this guy. It's not super great, but you know, again, he's supposed to be a big, clunky robot that's really not meant to be moving super fast. So again, just the name of the game here. And then with the feet, we have a little bit of, we've got some down tilt on it, which is okay. The forward tilt is a little limited, probably mostly due to his massive shin guards here, which get in the way of his feet, because at some point, this is as far as I can push it before it's hitting the shin guard. So the front tilt of the foot, not great. The back's got a little bit of give. It's not too terrible. It's about as good as I think they're gonna get. And then of course, they are also on rocker joints, so you can get some side to side here. And then of course he's got the panels that open on the chest to reveal internal parts. None of this, of course, nothing in here actually moves, it's just all mechanical detail, which is fine, nothing wrong with that. A little extra cool feature. Now unfortunately on my copy, this piece kinda is a little loose, so if I just turn him upside down like this, the panel just kind of falls out. The other panel does not, it's pretty solid. Unfortunately his left panel here is a little loose, so not much I can do about that. At least it's not completely falling out, so it could be worse. So overall, articulation is a little limited on this guy. Again, he's big, he's chunky, he's clunky, he's a big boy robot that is not really intended to be moving all that fast, so that kind of goes hand in hand with his articulation here a bit. I think it gets done what it needs to get done for him. Okay, let's take a look at REX-1's accessories. First up, we have a pair of blasters. that he uses in the episode that he shows up in. These can be attached to his hip skirts on the sides, or he can obviously wield them. They look pretty good. They are completely painted in a gunmetal gray and have some line detailing on them at the top here. Pretty nice. Unfortunately, it looks like one of my blasters is kind of, looks like the barrel is like bent upward a little bit. It looks really gimpy. Man, I wonder if I can fix that with a little bit of heat. That's kind of unfortunate. Jeez. Hopefully, maybe I can do something about that. Okay, next up we have REX-1's remote control that his controller can use in case they need to do anything manual with him, I guess. Looks really cool though. Really detailed. A lot of paint here. Blue, yellow, green, red, gray. Pretty cool. Next up, one of the weirdest accessories he's got, and that I think I've seen in a TMNT set for a while, is REX-1's tongue. God, that's so weird. There's literally a scene where April tells him to hold his tongue, and he literally sticks his tongue out and holds it. That is the only reason this is in his accessory set. So strange. After that, we have a set of 3 VHS tapes. Just really cool. Pretty detailed there. Painted, of course. And these were used in a scene where Donatello was repairing and reprogramming REX-1, and the tapes were used for new programming. Then after that, we have one of the only accessories from the second episode that he appeared in, and it is a oil can. And this appeared in like the foreground of a scene. It wasn't even used in the scene, so, you know, super deep cut accessory piece. It's kind of cool though. Also fully painted. And then we have a full set of interchangeable hands. So we've got a set of splayed out hands here. Painted white with black line art. We have a pair of gripping hands to hold his guns, also fully painted. Then we have a pair of, I don't know, I guess you could use these to wave or to be like, hey, stop, something like that. I'm not sure what else you could use these for, but also fully painted. And then we have a pair of hands that come pre-installed, if you will, on the figure. A pair of fists, which, as you can see, I had to pop these out of REX-1, and the little spindles here are losing some paint, which is to be expected, especially when you paint these ends like this that go inside the holes in his hands, or his arms, so they're going to be losing paint all over the place. Not a huge deal, because again, you're never going to see those parts, but... So yeah, fists, fully painted. Look pretty good. And the last accessory is a single hand holding a nut. And this was also from the second episode where he removes this from his arm, and thus removes his arm in the process. Again, just another little weird reference to one of the episodes that you can use if you want. Also fully painted. And that should be about it for his accessories. Okay guys, So as far as a side-by-side goes, I don't really have anything to compare him to, because there is nothing else to compare him to. He is the first and only REX-1 that has ever been made. But for comparison's sake, I am going to pull out NECA's new Ultimate April O'Neil, just to give you an idea on the sheer scale of this guy. And she's also handy, so got her right here. Now take a look at this. Look at that! He's absolutely massive. He completely dwarfs her. It's ridiculous. REX-1 is absolutely going to tower over all of your 6-inch figures and dominate the shelf space that he is on, which is super awesome. I love it. Then we'll just get her on the side real quick. Again, he is a beast. He towers over everything. And then just to mix it up a little bit, here is Leader Class Overlord from Transformers Titans Return. Old Transformer Leader Class figures were pretty beefy, and it definitely looks like REX-1 could go toe-to-toe here with Overlord. Okay, final thoughts. So, REX-1 is kind of a dream action figure for me. I never, ever imagined for a second that we would ever receive a proper figure of REX-1 due to his status of being a one-off character that appeared in only 2 episodes of a series that ran for a whopping 193 episodes. Characters like this tend to be forgotten, so when NECA announced that they were going to be doing a REX-1 figure, I was totally over the moon. I couldn't believe it. And here he is 35 some odd years later in all his plastic glory in action figure form. Now that doesn't mean that he's absolutely perfect. So again, a few minor nitpicks with some quality control issues. Coming right out of the box, all of his joints were completely frozen. I had to get everything unstuck with a blow dryer, and it took a little bit of time to make that happen, to make sure I did it gently and didn't snap anything off. So while that's typically fairly common for NECA figures, usually it's only 1 or 2 limbs maybe here and there, but with Rex it was everything. Arms, legs, his waist, his head, you name it. Everything was pretty stuck in place, and it took a little bit of effort to get him in total working order. We also had some issues with the plastic tie-downs being a little bit too tight, since it left impressions in his arms from holding him down so tightly, and that's something you never want to see on your action figures. Some minor paint smudges and paint slop here and there, and then a couple of nicks on his face, like on his side, near his chin, on the edge of his mouth, which is a little bit unfortunate. Again, all of these minor nitpicks. The biggest complaint probably being his somewhat lack of articulation. He's got very limited head movement, somewhat limited movement in his feet. He doesn't seem to have any wrist articulation at all. And then single jointed elbows and knees, which don't give him a lot of options as far as really dynamic posing. So as with every single TMNT Toon figure, he is exclusive to Target. In store, and I believe he was made available online as well on Target's website. If I can find him, I will leave a link below just in case he ever shows back up on their website. And with that, I'm going to give him 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of 5 goats. He's a 4 out of 5 goat boy. Aside from some minor QC issues and somewhat limited articulation, I am overall very pleased with this figure, and he is absolutely an excellent addition to anybody's TMNT collection. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, and be sure to ring that bell for notifications. And I will see you guys in the next video. And remember, stay retro and be the goat. Till next time. Blah, 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 blah.